You keep quitting because your habits are built like sticks. They snap under pressure. Napoleon Hill revealed the secret: build habits like stone. Stone does not break. Stone survives storms. This is the code that makes quitting impossible. Backhand index pointing right. Watch the full video and install it in your life today.
You quit not because you are weak but because your habits are fragile. You start strong, you make promises, you even feel unstoppable for a week or two. Then life pushes back and your structure collapses. You search for more motivation, another book, another speech, but the truth is this: motivation cannot carry you. Only habits can. And not just any habits, but habits built so strong that quitting is not even an option. That is what we are about to build. Today you will step into a code that makes consistency automatic. No more starting over. No more breaking chains. No more Monday resets. This is the end of fragile habits. This is the beginning of unbreakable ones. Look at your own past. How many times have you restarted? A new diet. A new workout. A new business plan. You light a fire, but it burns out fast because the foundation is weak. You treat habits like a game of chance instead of a system of certainty. Napoleon Hill wrote that persistence is to character what carbon is to steel. Weak persistence shatters. Strong persistence becomes unbreakable. Your goal now is to forge habits like steel. When the pressure comes, they will bend but not break. When the storm hits, they will stand. Picture this. A man builds a small hut with sticks. It looks fine when the sky is clear. But when the storm comes, it collapses in minutes. Another man builds a house with stone. It takes longer, it feels heavier, but when the same storm comes, his house stands. Habits are the same. Most of your routines are built with sticks. You do them when life is easy, but when stress arrives they fall apart. You must build with stone. Stone habits are routines installed so deeply that storms cannot touch them. Here is how you start. Step 1. Choose one habit that matters most to your life right now. Do not chase 10. Choose one. Step 2. Define the smallest possible version of it that you can repeat daily. Step 3. Commit to protecting this version no matter how busy or tired you are. Step 4. Build a chain of repetitions until your brain recognizes it as identity. The habit becomes stone when it survives bad days. Not good days. Anyone can keep a habit on good days. Strength is proven on bad days. You must train for bad days, not perfect ones. Think about this clearly. Quitting feels like a choice, but it is really the product of fragile structure. If you make habits fragile, quitting will always appear. If you make habits strong, quitting will never even show up. That is the difference between those who finish and those who restart forever. Hill's hidden code was not motivation but construction. He built routines as if they were walls around his goals. He did not leave open doors. He left no space for quitting to enter. That is what you must do. Macro vision tells you habits are grand. Micro reality shows they are small actions repeated daily. But the repetition forges strength. Every day you add one stone to your wall. Every day the wall grows higher. After weeks, quitting cannot climb it. After months, quitting cannot even see over it. This is the system. Build until quitting is not an option. Build until identity locks in. Build until you do not think about whether you should. You simply do because it is who you are. So here is your formula for the first step. Select one habit. Shrink it to a size that cannot fail. Repeat it daily, especially on the hard days. Protect the chain at all costs. Let the repetition turn fragile sticks into stone walls. That is how you build habits so strong that quitting is not even possible. And your work begins tonight. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Tonight. You quit because you keep aiming for giant leaps instead of steady steps. You tell yourself that if you cannot do an hour, then 10 minutes is worthless. You decide if you cannot run 5 miles, walking around the block means nothing. That is the lie that breaks your chain. Napoleon Hill understood this second secret. Habits grow not from intensity but from consistency. The strongest habits are not built by rare heroic acts. They are built by small daily deposits that compound until they cannot be broken. Look at how you have failed before. You join a gym and go for 2 hours every day for a week. By the second week, you are exhausted, sore, and busy. You stop. You start writing a book and demand 3,000 words a day. By the third day, the well is dry. You stop. Each time you set a standard that was unsustainable, and when you could not hold it, quitting slid in. Hill's wisdom was different. He knew that a single page written daily mattered more than 1,000 words written once. He knew that a single focused act of persistence each day would outlast the bursts of intensity others chased. Picture this. A farmer plants seeds in the field. He does not demand fruit in one day. He does not water the crops once and walk away. He waters daily, patiently, letting the invisible growth happen beneath the soil. Over weeks and months, the harvest comes. Your habits are the same. They are seeds. Each small action is water. Each day of repetition is sunlight. You cannot demand fruit before the season. You cannot rush the harvest. You must commit to daily watering. This is how unbreakable habits grow. Here is how you apply it. Step 1. Choose the smallest sustainable action for your habit. Something so small it feels almost trivial. Step 2. Commit to it every day without fail, no matter how busy or tired. Step 3. Allow yourself to build momentum slowly instead of demanding instant transformation. Step 4. After weeks of repetition, scale naturally. Let growth happen as a byproduct, not as pressure. This is how you build habits that feel unshakable, because they are rooted in daily soil, not in occasional storms. Think about compounding in finance. $1 invested grows not by sudden jumps but by steady accumulation. A habit grows the same way. The more days it compounds, the stronger it becomes. If you miss one deposit, the chain weakens. If you keep depositing, the chain becomes steel. Hill preached persistence because persistence creates compounding. He knew that greatness does not come from bursts but from quiet daily discipline. That is the rhythm you must install in your life. Macro vision shows success as big wins. Micro reality reveals it as tiny daily acts repeated beyond boredom. Most people chase excitement and then quit when excitement fades. You must chase consistency. You must value small actions more than heroic bursts. That is how you separate yourself from the masses who restart every January but never finish by December. This is how you build a reputation with yourself that you can trust. A reputation built daily, not in one grand attempt. So here is your formula for the second secret. Shrink your habit until it feels laughably easy. Repeat it every day without exception. Track the chain, not the size of the action. Let consistency compound until it becomes identity. Once identity is forged, quitting disappears because it no longer matches who you are. Napoleon Hill knew this truth. Now it belongs to you. Begin today with a step so small you cannot fail. Then repeat it until your habits become steel. You quit because you allow choice to remain open. Every day you ask yourself the same weak question. Should I do it today? That question is poison. If you leave the door open, quitting will always walk through it. Napoleon Hill understood the third secret. Habits grow strongest when you remove choice. He did not ask himself whether he would act. He decided once, then built systems that made that decision permanent. Real discipline is not a daily debate. It is a contract signed once and honored forever. Look back at your patterns. You wake and wonder if you should go for the run. You sit at your desk and wonder if you should write. You feel tired and wonder if you should skip the habit. Each time you ask, you weaken yourself. Hill never played this game. He knew the brain burns energy in decisions. Too many decisions, and willpower is gone before action even begins. His answer was simple. Automate the choice. Write the decision once. Then let the system enforce it. Picture a soldier in training. At dawn the alarm sounds. He does not ask himself if he should get up. He gets up because the rule is clear. The decision was made by the system, not by his feelings. That is the kind of environment Hill designed for himself. He built rules that removed negotiation. He scheduled his habits at fixed times, placed his tools in place, and treated them as non-negotiable. The discipline was not about waking with motivation. It was about waking inside rules that allowed no debate. Here is how you apply this. Step 1. Identify the habit you want to make permanent. Step 2. Fix a time and place where it will live every day. Step 3. Remove the question by treating it as law. Do not ask. Do not negotiate. Step 4. Create a trigger that locks the habit into motion. This could be an alarm, a location, or an object placed as a signal. Each time the trigger fires, the habit runs without discussion. This is how you remove choice and build power. Think about how traffic lights work. Drivers do not debate when the light turns red. They stop because the system demands it. You must treat your habits like traffic lights. When the trigger fires, action follows. That is the code. If you allow feelings to vote, quitting will always win. If you design systems where feelings do not matter, quitting cannot even appear. Hill spoke often about definiteness of purpose. But definiteness of purpose only works when supported by definiteness of action. That means no questions asked. Only execution allowed. Macro vision shows discipline as motivation. Micro reality shows it as pre-decided law. The law you write for yourself is stronger than the mood you feel in the moment. This is the secret to turning fragile habits into unbreakable ones. The moment you stop asking should I and start saying this is what I do, quitting is erased from the script. Your life begins to operate like a code. Input. Trigger. Action. Repeat. That is discipline. So here is your formula for the third secret. Write the decision once. Fix the habit in time and place. Build a trigger. Remove the debate. Then execute daily without asking. Quitting thrives on questions. Discipline thrives on rules. Napoleon Hill knew this truth. He removed the door of choice and locked himself inside progress. You can do the same starting today. You quit because you try to fight battles with willpower alone. You hope that in the moment of weakness you will simply be strong enough. But Napoleon Hill understood another secret. Habits become unbreakable when you design your environment to push you forward. This is the fourth secret. Willpower is fragile. Environment is permanent. If your surroundings support your habits, discipline becomes natural. If your surroundings fight your habits, discipline becomes impossible. Think about how often you have failed because of your environment. You decide to eat clean, but your kitchen is filled with junk food. You decide to study, but your desk is crowded with distractions. You decide to sleep early, but your phone sits glowing beside your pillow. You break not because you lack strength, but because you built an environment that feeds weakness. Hill understood this truth. He engineered his surroundings so that the path of least resistance was always the path of progress. Picture a river flowing downhill. Water always finds the easiest path. Your actions follow the same rule. If distraction is easier than focus, you will choose distraction. If quitting is easier than continuing, you will quit. But if you redesign your environment so that action is easier than delay, you will act. If you make quitting harder than continuing, you will stay consistent. That is the power of shaping environment. You stop fighting yourself and start flowing in the right direction. Here is how you apply this. Step 1. Identify the friction points in your environment that sabotage your habit. Step 2. Remove one today. If you want to read, put a book on your pillow. If you want to train, lay out your shoes. If you want to write, clear your desk and place your pen where you cannot miss it. Step 3. Add friction to bad habits. Log out of apps, move snacks out of reach, hide the remote. Step 4. Continue adjusting until your environment pushes you instead of pulling you back. This is not about strength. This is about design. Think about professional athletes. They do not rely on motivation alone. Their coaches design training grounds, nutrition, schedules, and even rest patterns to make discipline automatic. Their environment is a factory for consistency. You may not have a full team, but you have power over your space. Your room, your desk, your phone, your schedule. All of these can be re-engineered to make the right habit simple and the wrong habit difficult. That is how you stack the game in your favor. Macro vision paints discipline as inner struggle. Micro reality shows it as environmental design. You are not just a product of your choices. You are a product of the options around you. Hill understood that if you remove options that lead to weakness, you naturally act stronger. If you place options that lead to persistence, you naturally stay persistent. You do not need to fight every day. You need to design once and let the design fight for you. So here is your formula for the fourth secret. Redesign one corner of your environment tonight. Remove friction for the habit you want. Add friction to the habit you must kill. Let the environment become your silent coach. Quitting cannot thrive in a space designed for discipline. Hill built his world this way. You can build yours tonight. You quit because you chase motivation like it is oxygen. You wait for the right mood, the right burst of energy, the perfect wave of inspiration. But Napoleon Hill revealed a deeper code. The fifth secret is this. Action creates motivation, not the other way around. You cannot build unbreakable habits by waiting to feel ready. You build them by acting first and letting feeling follow. Hill knew that motion was the spark that ignited emotion. This reversal is what most people miss. That is why they quit when the feeling fades. Look back at your history. How many times did you wait for inspiration to write, only to skip the day? How many times did you wait to feel strong enough to train, only to stay on the couch? How many times did you promise yourself you would start when the mood was right, but the mood never arrived? That cycle is why your habits collapse. Hill broke that cycle. He acted first. He wrote when uninspired. He studied when tired. He spoke when uncertain. He trusted the law of action over feeling. And every time, the feeling caught up after the motion began. Picture this. A cold morning where you want to stay in bed. You pull on your shoes anyway and step outside. The first minutes feel heavy. But after a few steps, your blood warms, your energy rises, your mind sharpens. Motivation arrives because you acted. That is the truth. Action produces the very energy you thought you needed to start. The trap is waiting. The code is moving first. When you learn this, habits stop depending on emotion and start depending on principle. Here is how you apply it. Step 1. Commit to starting the habit before you feel like it. Step 2. Focus only on the first motion, not the full task. Put on your shoes. Write one sentence. Open the book. Step 3. Let momentum carry you further. Once the motion begins, energy follows. Step 4. Train yourself to celebrate starting, because starting is the hardest part. This practice rewires your brain to link discipline with action, not mood. Think about a fire. You do not wait for the flames before adding wood. You add wood, and then flames appear. Motivation is the flame. Action is the wood. If you do not act, the fire never comes. If you act, the fire arrives. Hill lived by this law. He acted into energy instead of waiting for energy. That is why he could outlast those who only worked in bursts of inspiration. He was not lucky. He was structured. Macro vision shows discipline is waiting for the perfect wave of feeling. Micro reality shows discipline is striking the match first. Small sparks of action build into flames of motivation. If you reverse the order, your habits become fragile. If you lock the order correctly, your habits become unbreakable. You must never again wait to feel ready. You must act to feel ready. That is the mindset that closes the door on quitting. So here is your formula for the fifth secret. Act first. Feel later. Shrink the habit to its smallest entry point. Begin no matter your mood. Let momentum do the heavy lifting. Habits grow stronger every time you prove to yourself that action does not need permission from feeling. This is how Hill built momentum daily. This is how you will build habits so strong quitting is not even possible. You quit because you underestimate the power of ritual. You treat habits like random acts scattered across your day. You tell yourself you will fit them in when time appears. But Napoleon Hill understood the sixth secret. Habits become unbreakable when they are tied to rituals. A ritual is not just repetition. It is a signal, a ceremony, a routine that tells your mind and body it is time to act. Rituals remove hesitation and install rhythm. That is why Hill's practices lasted when others faded. Look at your current approach. You want to train, but you leave the time flexible. You want to read, but you leave the place undefined. You want to write, but you wait for an open slot. This is why you break. Without ritual, your habit is weak. It floats in the air, vulnerable to distraction. Hill gave his actions anchors. He wrote at the same desk. He used the same triggers. He repeated the same sequence. Over time, his mind linked the ritual with the habit so strongly that one automatically triggered the other. Picture this. A musician walks onto a stage. Before playing, he tunes his instrument, adjusts his seat, takes a breath. These actions are not optional. They are ritual. They prepare him to perform. Without them, he would feel off balance. Your life is the same. You must build rituals around your habits. When you follow the ritual, your brain knows what comes next. The chain is already in motion. This is how you eliminate the gap between intention and execution. Here is how you apply this. Step 1. Choose one habit you want to strengthen. Step 2. Design a 3-step ritual that leads into it. For example, if you want to write, clear your desk, place your notebook, and light a small lamp. Step 3. Perform the ritual at the same time each day. Step 4. Never skip the ritual, even if you scale down the habit itself. This keeps the trigger alive and the chain unbroken. Over weeks, the ritual becomes automatic and the habit rides on its back. Think about athletes before a game. They warm up with the same moves, the same order, every time. This is not just physical. It is psychological. It locks their body and mind into performance mode. Hill's code worked the same way. His rituals were mental warm-ups. They were reminders, signals, and commitments rolled into one. He turned ordinary spaces into sacred ones by repeating his rituals daily. That is what gave him consistency beyond emotion. Macro vision paints discipline as endless self-control. Micro reality shows it as ritualized behavior. When you ritualize, you reduce resistance. You create pathways your brain recognizes. You take randomness out and replace it with certainty. Quitting becomes harder because the ritual carries you forward even when you feel tired or distracted. That is the strength you need. Not just force, but ceremony. Not just action, but anchored action. So here is your formula for the sixth secret. Create a ritual of 3 simple steps that lead directly into your habit. Perform it daily at the same time. Protect it even when the habit itself is shortened. Let the ritual train your brain that action follows automatically. Soon the ritual itself will be enough to carry you into motion. This is how Hill locked his habits so deeply that quitting never appeared as an option. And this is how you can do the same. You quit because you think habits are only built by effort in the moment. You ignore the role of identity. Napoleon Hill understood the seventh secret. Habits become unbreakable when they are welded to who you believe you are. When you see yourself as someone who simply does the habit, you no longer argue with yourself. You no longer negotiate. You act because it is a reflection of your identity. Hill called this definiteness of purpose, but beneath it was identity alignment. When purpose and identity merge, quitting has no place to hide. Look at how you speak to yourself. You say, "I will try to exercise." You say, "I want to become a reader." You say, "I am working on being disciplined." Every phrase reveals distance between you and the identity. That distance is why quitting slips in. You see the action as optional, something outside of who you are. Hill did the opposite. He told himself, "I am persistent. I am disciplined. I am focused." Those words shaped his actions because the human brain defends identity more fiercely than goals. Picture this. Two people both start running. The first says, "I am trying to run 3 times a week." The second says, "I am a runner." Months later, the first is still inconsistent, still debating, still skipping. The second keeps running because every skip day feels like betraying who he is. The difference is not in shoes or schedules. The difference is identity. One sees running as an activity. The other sees it as identity. That is the lock you must build. Here is how you apply this. Step 1. Write the identity you want tied to your habit. I am a writer. I am a builder. I am disciplined. Step 2. Repeat this identity daily out loud and in writing. Step 3. Link small actions to that identity. Even one sentence proves you are a writer. Even one push-up proves you are an athlete. Step 4. Protect this identity by refusing to speak against it. Never call yourself lazy or inconsistent. The words you use are bricks in your identity. Choose bricks that build strength. Think about how fiercely you defend your name. If someone insults your name, you push back because identity is sacred. When you attach habits to identity, you defend them with the same energy. You no longer act because of fleeting motivation. You act because it is who you are. Hill understood that identity is the deepest layer of persistence. Once you shift from "I do this" to "I am this," the habit roots into your being. Quitting becomes self-betrayal, and you will not allow it. Macro vision paints discipline as willpower. Micro reality shows it as identity defense. You do not need endless self-control when the habit is who you are. You only need to live your identity. This is why the strongest habits feel effortless after time. They are no longer choices. They are expressions. They are extensions of you. That is the code you must install. When you become the habit, quitting cannot survive. It has no space in your identity. So here is your formula for the seventh secret. Choose the identity. Declare it. Link it to daily proof, no matter how small. Defend it with your words and actions. Let identity replace negotiation. Soon you will not be someone who tries to build habits. You will be someone whose very identity is unbreakable habits. Hill lived this truth. Now it is your turn to live it boldly. You quit because you underestimate the power of tracking. You trust memory to guide your habits, but memory is weak and emotions twist the story. Some days you forget what you have done. Other days you convince yourself you are further along than you really are. Napoleon Hill understood the eighth secret. What gets measured gets strengthened. Habits grow unbreakable when they are tracked, because tracking turns invisible progress into visible proof. And proof builds belief. Belief locks discipline. Think about your past attempts. You started journaling but lost track of how many days you actually wrote. You started running but never noted the miles. You started reading but had no record of the chapters. Slowly your brain forgot the rhythm. With no evidence, quitting felt easier. Hill did not allow this weakness. He wrote things down. He measured. He turned abstract persistence into visible patterns. Each checkmark was a victory. Each tally a reminder. His system created visible chains, and the mind resists breaking a chain it can see. Picture this. A wall calendar hanging in your room. Each day you complete your habit, you draw a red X across the square. After a week you have 7 XS in a row. After a month you have 30. The chain becomes a symbol. Each morning you wake and see the chain, you feel the weight of breaking it. That weight pushes you to continue. The habit stops living in your head and starts living on the wall. This is the power of tracking. It builds an external scoreboard you cannot ignore. Here is how you apply it. Step 1. Choose a simple method of tracking. A notebook, a calendar, a digital app. Step 2. Record your habit every day, even if the action was small. Step 3. Celebrate the streak by recognizing the chain. Step 4. Never allow 2 misses in a row. 1 break is a stumble. 2 breaks is the start of quitting. Tracking keeps you honest. It removes illusion. It creates truth. Think about why businesses keep ledgers. They do not trust memory. They record every number. That record tells the real story. Your habits deserve the same respect. Without tracking, you are guessing. With tracking, you are measuring. And when you measure, you manage. Hill's life was full of notes, journals, and repeated reminders. He made persistence tangible. He could look back and see his rhythm alive on paper. That sight alone reinforced his identity and carried him forward. Macro vision shows discipline as invisible strength. Micro reality shows discipline as visible record. A habit you track becomes a habit you protect. A chain you see becomes a chain you refuse to break. This is why tracking matters more than emotion. Emotions lie. Data tells the truth. When the truth is in front of you, you will fight harder to protect it. Quitting cannot hide when numbers reveal reality. So here is your formula for the 8th secret. Pick your habit. Pick your tracking method. Record daily. Protect the chain. Never break twice. Let the scoreboard push you further than motivation ever could. This is how you transform fragile intentions into unbreakable proof. This is how Napoleon Hill forged persistence into results. And this is how you can build habits so strong that quitting is not even possible. You quit because you believe progress must always be dramatic. You wait for huge leaps, and when they do not appear fast enough, you convince yourself nothing is happening. Napoleon Hill understood the 9th secret. Small wins are the fuel of big victories. When you stack micro wins, you build momentum. Momentum builds identity. Identity builds habits that cannot be broken. Quitting happens when you ignore the small wins and only chase the mountaintop. Think about your past efforts. You promised yourself a perfect diet and demanded visible changes in a week. When the mirror looked the same, you quit. You told yourself you would write a full book in a month. When you slowed down, you quit. You believed progress must be massive to matter. That lie kills your chain. Hill knew better. He saw progress in inches. He celebrated inches because inches add up to miles. The man who celebrates micro wins never runs out of fuel. The man who ignores them always starves. Picture this. A builder laying bricks. Each day he sets only a few bricks in place. At first the wall looks too small to matter. But brick after brick, day after day, the wall grows. A year later, the wall is towering. The habit of laying bricks never felt dramatic, but it created something unshakable. Your habits work the same way. Each action is a brick. Each win, no matter how small, builds the wall higher. Ignore the bricks and you build nothing. Celebrate them and you create a fortress. Here is how you apply it. Step 1. Break your habit into micro wins you can recognize daily. Step 2. Record each win, no matter how small. Step 3. Celebrate immediately to anchor motivation. Step 4. Stack wins day after day, focusing on momentum instead of perfection. When you stack, your brain begins to crave the next win. That craving becomes drive. That drive becomes identity. The cycle locks discipline in place. Think about games. People get addicted because of small victories. Each level up, each badge, each unlocked feature creates excitement. You can apply the same principle to your life. Design your habits so that each repetition feels like a win. Count pages read, steps taken, sentences written, sets completed. Do not underestimate the power of the scoreboard. Small numbers create big motivation when you let them. Hill's persistence thrived on constant reinforcement. Every micro win told him he was advancing, even when the world could not see it yet. Macro vision paints discipline as climbing mountains. Micro reality shows it as laying bricks. You do not need fireworks. You need momentum. Momentum is built by celebrating progress instead of dismissing it. The more wins you stack, the harder it is to quit, because quitting would destroy something real. You will defend your chain because you earned it. That defense is strength. That strength is discipline. That discipline is what makes quitting impossible. So here is your formula for the ninth secret. Define the smallest wins you can celebrate daily. Stack them into chains. Record them visibly. Let momentum build your identity. Never ignore the small steps, because they are the foundation of unstoppable discipline. Napoleon Hill knew that micro wins create massive shifts. Now you know it too. Build with bricks, not fantasies. Celebrate inches, and you will conquer miles. You quit because you confuse perfection with progress. You demand flawless streaks, and the moment you break once, you tell yourself the chain is ruined. That lie destroys more habits than failure itself. Napoleon Hill understood the 10th secret. Habits become unbreakable not by being perfect but by being repaired quickly. The strongest people are not those who never slip. They are those who recover instantly. Resilience is the real code of discipline. Quitting sneaks in when you let one miss become many. Look at your own history. You eat clean for 10 days, then one meal breaks the streak, and you say I failed. You miss one workout and decide the whole week is lost. You forget to journal one night and abandon the notebook entirely. This all or nothing trap destroys consistency. Hill never played this game. He expected imperfection. He built resilience into his system. A slip was not the end. It was a signal to return. He knew one broken link did not ruin the chain if the next link was restored immediately. Picture this. A runner trips mid-race. The weak runner stays on the ground, ashamed, watching others pass. The strong runner gets up, shakes off the dust, and keeps moving. Both stumbled, but only one finished. Habits are no different. You will stumble. You will miss. The secret is refusing to stay down. The act of recovery is more important than the act of perfection. If you return quickly, quitting has no room to grow. Here is how you apply it. Step 1. Accept that slips are inevitable. Step 2. Make a rule that you will never miss twice in a row. Step 3. When you break, act the next day with double commitment. Step 4. Treat recovery as part of the habit, not outside of it. This mindset keeps the chain alive. Even with breaks, the chain grows longer because you refuse to let gaps widen. Recovery transforms weakness into strength. Think about financial investors. They do not sell everything after one bad day in the market. They stay in the game, adjust, and continue. That is how wealth compounds. Discipline compounds the same way. If you abandon after one miss, you lose all momentum. If you recover, the compounding continues. He'll live this by building persistence into his identity. Persistence does not mean never falling. It means always rising again. That is why he could outlast obstacles that destroyed others. Macro vision shows discipline as flawless perfection. Micro reality shows discipline as repeated recovery. You are not measured by how perfectly you maintain a streak, but by how fast you return after breaking it. Every comeback strengthens your identity. Every recovery proves you are someone who refuses to quit. This is how habits become unbreakable. Not by being clean of errors, but by being indestructible through resilience. So here is your formula for the 10th secret. Stop worshiping perfection. Start worshiping resilience. Never miss twice. Recover instantly. Treat the comeback as victory, not failure. Protect your chain by repairing it faster than it can break. Napoleon Hill knew that persistence was not flawless. It was relentless. Now you know it too. Build resilience into your habits, and quitting will never find a foothold. You quit because you try to build habits in silence without any support. You believe you can carry everything on your shoulders alone. But Napoleon Hill revealed another truth. The 11th secret is this. Habits become unbreakable when they are supported by community and accountability. You are strong alone, but you are unstoppable when others hold you to your word. Hill built his philosophy around the mastermind principle, the idea that two or more minds in harmony create a force greater than one. He did not rely only on himself. He leveraged the power of others to keep his discipline alive. Think about your patterns. You promise yourself to wake early, but no one knows, so hitting snooze feels harmless. You decide to finish a project, but with no one waiting for it, delays feel acceptable. You plan to quit a bad habit, but with no eyes watching, slipping back feels invisible. This isolation breeds inconsistency. Hill understood that humans rise when others expect them to rise. A single promise to yourself can be broken. A promise witnessed by others carries weight. Picture two students preparing for an exam. One studies alone, telling himself he will review every night. The other pairs with a friend and commits to meet at the library daily. When the first student feels tired, he skips because no one notices. When the second student feels tired, he still goes because breaking the promise would mean breaking trust. At the end, one drifts while the other excels. The difference is not intelligence but accountability. When someone is watching, discipline multiplies. Here is how you apply this. Step 1. Choose one habit you want to lock in. Step 2. Share it with at least one person you respect. Step 3. Set regular check-ins, whether weekly updates or daily reports. Step 4. Allow their presence to add weight to your promises. Do not fear the pressure. Use it as fuel. This system transforms fragile intentions into solid contracts. Your word becomes steel because someone else is holding one end of it. Think about athletes in a team. They do not only train for themselves. They train because the team depends on them. Soldiers do not only endure for survival. They endure for the brother beside them. Humans are wired to carry more when others rely on them. You can harness this for your habits. Stop hiding them in isolation. Bring them into light. When you build a circle of accountability, quitting becomes shameful and persistence becomes natural. Macro vision shows discipline as self-reliance. Micro reality shows discipline as a social contract. You do not need a crowd. One partner, one mentor, one community is enough. That connection can transform fragile habits into unbreakable ones. Quitting becomes heavier, persistence becomes easier. Hill leveraged this principle throughout his life. He surrounded himself with allies, mentors, and peers. That is how he sustained his code through challenges. You can do the same. So here is your formula for the 11th secret. Declare your habit to someone else. Set check-ins. Accept accountability as your ally. Use the weight of your word to fuel your consistency. Do not let silence protect your weakness. Let visibility amplify your strength. Napoleon Hill lived by this truth, and you can too. Build accountability into your habits, and quitting will never stand a chance. You quit because you treat habits as tasks to complete instead of identity to embody. You tick boxes, you count days, but deep down you still see the habit as something external, something you are doing rather than something you are. Napoleon Hill understood the 12th and final secret. Habits become unbreakable when they fuse with identity. When you no longer say I am building discipline but instead say I am disciplined, the battle ends. You stop negotiating. You stop doubting. You live as the person who does the habit, not as someone forcing the habit. Look at your journey so far. You have started habits dozens of times. You have counted streaks, tracked progress, celebrated wins. But when your identity does not shift, the habit eventually feels like a burden, a chore waiting to be dropped. Hill avoided this trap by aligning his self-image with his actions. He repeated affirmations. He spoke his purpose aloud. He wrote his intentions until they became his definition. His habits were not outside tasks. They were who he was. That is why he could persist for decades. He lived inside the code. Picture two different people. The first says I am trying to quit smoking. The second says I am not a smoker. The first still identifies with the weakness. The second redefines identity. Which one lasts longer? The answer is clear. The identity statement cuts deeper than effort. Actions follow identity. You defend what you believe you are. If you believe you are disciplined, you will act disciplined even when tired. If you believe you are weak, you will eventually surrender. The root is not in effort. The root is in identity. Here is how you apply this. Step 1. Write the identity you choose. Begin with I am. Say it clearly. I am disciplined. I am focused. I am consistent. Step 2. Link daily actions to this identity. Even one small step proves it true. A single push-up proves I am an athlete. One sentence proves I am a writer. Step 3. Repeat this identity until it feels natural. Speak it aloud, write it daily, let it echo. Step 4. Eliminate language that contradicts it. Never call yourself lazy. Never say you are inconsistent. Words carve identity. Identity carves action. Think about your name. If someone insults your name, you defend it fiercely because it is yours. Now imagine discipline as your name. You defend it just as fiercely. That is the power of identity. Hill understood that affirmations were not magic. They were tools to shift identity. And once identity shifted, habits followed naturally. That is the transformation you must claim. You are no longer a person trying to build habits. You are the person whose habits are already unbreakable. That shift makes quitting impossible because quitting would mean denying yourself. Macro vision shows discipline as endless effort. Micro reality shows it as identity expression. You do not need to push forever when the push becomes who you are. The strongest habits stop being things you do. They become things you are. That is the true code Hill lived by. That is the final key to building habits so strong that quitting cannot even exist. You are not building habits anymore. You are building you. And once built, you do not need to start over again. So here is your formula for the 12th secret. Write your identity. Declare it. Light it daily with actions as proof. Refuse to speak against it. Let repetition carve belief, and let belief carve action. Soon the gap between doing and being will vanish. Quitting will feel foreign, unnatural, impossible. This is how Napoleon Hill forged a life of persistence. This is how you can build habits so strong that quitting is not even possible. Now speak it one last time. I am disciplined. Not tomorrow. Not someday. Now. And once you claim it, never release it. You began this journey believing discipline was about willpower. Now you know the truth. It is about systems, rituals, identity, and persistence stacked one brick at a time. You do not need to wait for motivation. You do not need to feel ready. You already hold the code. From today forward, every action you take is proof. Every small win is fuel. Every quick recovery is strength. You are not someone who tries. You are someone who finishes. So carry this with you. Build habits so strong quitting is not even an option. Discipline is no longer outside of you. Discipline is you. Now go live it. And when you do, the world will not ask if you can keep going. The world will watch you and know you will never quit.